In 1611, the poet John Donne prepared to leave his pregnant wife, Anne, for a diplomatic mission to continental Europe. Traveling across borders in the 17th century carried massive risks. Sickness, shipwrecks, and highwaymen made long journeys incredibly dangerous, turning any lengthy separation into a genuine brush with death. The standard farewell poem of the era, known as a valediction, leaned heavily into dramatic displays of grief. Poets relied on expected romantic tropes, emphasizing weeping, tearing hair, and comparing their sorrow to dying flowers. But Donne takes the exact opposite approach. He writes a poem that actively forbids mourning, refusing to indulge in the theatrics of public weeping or performative despair. To do this, he deploys the metaphysical conceit. Instead of soft, romantic imagery, Donne builds a logical argument for their love using cold, analytical subjects: funerals, earthquakes, metallurgy, and geometry. He realized that to truly comfort his wife, he had to shift their focus away from the emotional panic of his departure and firmly anchor them in intellectual certainty. Donne opens his argument by comparing their parting to the quiet, peaceful death of a virtuous man, someone who gently whispers to his soul to let go. He argues that erupting into tear floods and sigh-tempests would actually insult their connection. To display that kind of dramatic public grief would profane their sacred bond, lowering it to the level of ordinary people. This diagram illustrates the erratic seismograph-style chaos of what Donne calls sublunary or earthly lovers. Their love relies purely on physical proximity. When a change or separation occurs, their bond reacts violently and destructively, much like an earthquake. Donne contrasts localized earthly disasters with the planetary spheres. Their massive rotation is completely silent and unnoticed. Looking at the center, you see the tiny sublunary realm. Donne argues their relationship operates on those outer cosmic rings, vast, imperceptible, and unaffected by earthly chaos. This establishes the core binary of the poem. Earthly love requires physical touching to survive. Celestial love transcends the limitations of the physical senses entirely. Ordinary lovers cannot handle distance because absence removes the exact physical components, the eyes, the lips, the hands, that built their affection in the first place. But Donne proposes a different thesis for his marriage. He and Anne do not possess two separate souls. They share one unified soul that cannot be severed by a journey across the English Channel. He describes this using the properties of pure beaten gold. When separating, their soul doesn't snap. Instead, it experiences a vast expansion. The gold metaphor redefines the very concept of distance. The miles between them do not create an empty gap. They simply stretch the highly valuable material of their connection over a wider physical area. From there, the poem leaves elemental metallurgy behind and moves into strict, unromantic geometry. If their souls are separate, they are permanently joined at the top, like a drafting compass. Anne is the steadfast fixed foot in the center. Donne is the roaming foot tracing a circle, relying entirely on her firmness to keep his path precise. This geometric proof doubles as a vow. Her unwavering stability at home mathematically guarantees his safe passage, ensuring he will complete his route and end exactly where he began. Centuries later, the poet and critic T.S. Eliot evaluated Donne's work and identified the exact mechanism that makes this poem so effective. Eliot called it the unification of sensibility. He observed Donne's unique capacity to experience a complex intellectual thought as deeply and immediately as the scent of a rose. A valediction successfully dismantles the binary opposition between physical presence and physical absence, proving they are just different expressions of the same bond. By amalgamating incredibly disparate, unromantic experiences, the quiet death of a virtuous man, astronomy, metallurgy, and geometry, Donne constructed the ultimate romantic argument. He took the terrifying physical reality of a dangerous 17th century goodbye and forged it into an enduring literary masterpiece. He proved that for a truly refined love, physical distance is merely an illusion.